Welcome to the Alpha Training and Consulting's online training program. Today we're going to go over failure rate and the difference between mean time to failure versus mean time between failure. Please keep us in mind for all of your ASQ preparation needs. It would truly be an honor to have you as one of our students. All right, let's get started on our lecture today. We're going to talk first about failure rate. It's symbolized with a Greek symbol lambda, so oftentimes we refer to failure rate as lambda. What is lambda or failure rate? The total number of failures within an item population divided by the total number of life units expanded by the population during a particular measurement interval under stated conditions. So if you put some product in a test lab, in a reliability lab, and you start testing them and some of them start to fail, this is what you do. You put the number of items failed and the total test times. And we'll do an example problem on this. It's not very hard, but it's good to see an example problem all the same. Now let's discuss mean time between failure. It's a basic measure of reliability for repairable items. That's the key word term there, repairable items. Mean time between failure is for items that you can repair and put back online. Mean time to failure is for non-repairable items. That's the difference right there. It's not a big difference, but it's important that you refer to them with different words so that you know if you have a repairable item, you probably have to have parts in stock. Sub-assemblies, for example, where mean time to failure, you'll have the whole item backed up in inventory. So if you're managing a factory and all the different parts, it's important to determine if it's mean time between failure or mean time to failure. All right, with that being said, let's read that again. MTBF, or mean time between failure, a basic measure of reliability for repairable items. The mean number of life units during which all parts of the item perform within their specified limits during a particular measurement interval under stated conditions. In summary, reliability is quantified as mean time between failure in many situations. When we talk about reliability, oftentimes we are actually referring to what's the mean time between failure. The formula below, and you can use mean time between failure to directly calculate reliability, as we'll show you later. The formula below can be used to calculate a point estimate for mean time between failure under certain assumptions derived from reliability lab testing. Okay, so mean time between failure is the total test times divided by the number of items failed. Oh, look at that. That looks familiar, doesn't it? Let's go back to this one. Notice I put total test times in green, number of items failed in red, and the red's in the numerator, green's in the denominator, and look, all we do is flip it. So mean time between failure, there's a direct relationship between mean time between failure and failure rate. That's an inverse relationship. So if you take mean time between failure, invert it, that is failure rate. So there you go. I can show you those, and they're just inverse of one another. So that's important to remember because some of the formulas will use lambda and some will use mean time between failure, but you can use either one because you can just invert them. All right, let's do an example problem. If 10 items are tested for 100 hours each and 5 items fail at 55, 67, 69, 72, and 78 hours respectively, what is the failure rate at the point estimate for mean time between failure for this product type? Assume this product is operating under the constant failure rate assumption. Okay, very good. And so we're going to do failure rate, number of items failed. How many failed? 5 items fail. So I put that in the numerator. Total test times, well, we had 10 items, 5 failed. So 5 went 100 hours. That's why I put this in the denominator, 5 times 100. Then you add these up as well, 55, 67, 69, 72, and 78. So that's the total test times. That's the total of items failed during the test, and that is the calculated failure rate. And of course, we take the inverse of that, and it will give us mean time between failure. And by the way, you can see the units here on failure rate. Items failed per hour. Items failed per hour. Then we flip that, and we get 168.2 hours per part. Mean time between failure. Most people find this makes more sense. Hours per part per failure. Okay, but either way, remember it's an inverse relationship. The inverse relationship between mean time between failure and failure rate will give correct results as long as the following assumptions are met. The time to recover from failure can be considered 0. The likelihood of a failure is constant with respect to time. Okay, so on the bathtub curve that we talked about earlier, it's that constant failure rate. The correct and more accurate methodology for calculating mean time between failure when you are using historical data is described below. Okay, mean time between failure, also known as theta. Remember, lambda was the symbol for failure rate. Theta is the symbol for mean time between failure, or it could also be mu in some cases. Okay, so what do? We go start of downtime. Okay, that's the start where we had downtime, minus the start of runtime, divided by the number of downtimes. So let's go to the next slide, do an example problem. So here we go. Start of downtime minus start of runtime. And notice we went 8,300, which was start of downtime right there, to start time, start of runtime, 8,300 minus 2,000, then 12,200 minus 9,600, 15,150 minus 12,850, divided by the number of downtimes. How many times did it go down? 1, 2, 3. And mean time between failure then is 3,733 hours per failure. Now, mean time to failure, a basic measure of reliability for non-repairable items. That's the biggest difference between the two. Mean time between failure is for repairable items, and mean time to failure is for non-repairable items. The total number of life units of item divided by the total number of failures within the population during a particular measurement interval under stated conditions. This is also referred to as the mean time to first failure. Okay, so sometimes we refer to it mean time to failure, sometimes we refer to it as mean time to first failure. Note this formula is the same formula as mean time between failure, only it pertains to non-repairable items. Because of the assumptions, specifically 0 downtime, this formula will have less error when modeling mean time to failure than mean time between failure in most situations. All right, so here's how you do it if you have historical data. The correct and more accurate methodology for calculating mean time to failure when you are using historical data is described below. Time to failure divided by the number of failures. So here we have it. Notice there's no downtime because we just throw it away. We don't have repair time there. We just throw it away and put in another one. So total time is 15,850 hours. And how many failures over that time? 3. So we have a mean time to failure of 5,283 hours per failure. Very good. So let's do some example of mean time between failure. The mean time to failure for light bulbs would be the average number of hours that bulbs burn before going out. Mean time to failure for tires would be the average number of miles driven on them before the tread wears out. Notice these are non-repairable items. Examples of mean time between failure. A truck from the fleet goes 2,500 hours and experiences a failure. The truck is rebuilt and goes another 3,200 hours before it experiences its second failure. Repairable items, mean time between failure. All right, congratulations, you made it through this module. If you have any desire to take one of our ASQ preparation classes, we'd love to teach you. Notice today we've talked a lot about reliability engineering. We have a great class for reliability engineering at www.asqcre.com. We'd love to have you as a student. Of course, we have many other certifications that we can help you prepare for. We love ASQ certifications, and I know as you study for it and get your certification, you'll gain a great appreciation for those certifications as well. All right, congratulations, you have completed this module. If you have any questions, please contact me. There's my contact information right there, and I'd love to talk with you. And have a great day. Goodbye.